You think you know Virginia? Think again. Behind the shining skyscrapers and historic landmarks, a crisis is exploding. One that the world refuses to see. Families torn apart. Veterans abandoned. Entire communities erased by homelessness. Tonight, we're exposing the truth they don't want you to know. Stay with us. Because once you see it, you can never look away. This hook hits hard, creates urgency, and makes skipping impossible. It immediately pulls the viewer into the unseen side of Virginia, making them feel like they're uncovering something shocking. Let me know if you want it tweaked for an even stronger punch. Welcome to Globe Path Travel Documentary, where we take you beyond the postcards and into the hidden realities of our world. Today, we uncover a shocking truth buried beneath Virginia's history and progress, a homelessness crisis spiraling out of control. Families displaced overnight, entire communities forgotten. This isn't just a statistic, it's an unfolding tragedy demanding attention. Stay with us as we expose the voices, struggles, and untold stories behind the streets. Because once you see it, you can never look away. Virginia's homelessness crisis, the shocking truth behind the rising numbers. Virginia's homelessness crisis in 2025 has reached unprecedented levels, with point-in-time counts revealing a sharp increase in unsheltered individuals. The streets, once symbols of progress, now serve as makeshift homes for thousands who have been pushed to the margins of society. Beneath overpasses and in forgotten alleyways, entire communities struggle to survive. Families, veterans, and the elderly, all caught in a system that has failed them. The latest data shows that 660 people are experiencing homelessness in the Richmond region alone, while 517 individuals have found temporary refuge in shelters. 143 remain unsheltered, forced to sleep in cars, abandoned buildings, or directly on the streets. The number of unsheltered individuals has declined slightly compared to last year, but only due to extreme cold forcing many into temporary warming shelters. These emergency solutions, however, are not permanent, and many return to the streets once the weather improves. While official counts capture those visibly homeless, thousands more remain invisible. Families couch surfing, living in motels, or packed into overcrowded apartments. These individuals don't appear in traditional homelessness statistics, yet they face the same instability and uncertainty. Families with minor children now account for 5.5% of Virginia's homeless population, a number that continues to rise. Older adults are increasingly affected, with 45% of homeless individuals over the age of 55, highlighting a disturbing trend of seniors being pushed into homelessness. Many unstably housed individuals are not counted in official statistics, meaning the true scale of the crisis is far worse than reported. The crisis isn't just about numbers, it's about real people fighting for survival. A single mother, evicted after missing one rent payment, now moves between motels, struggling to keep her children in school. A veteran, once a proud serviceman, now sleeps under a bridge, abandoned by the very system he fought to protect. A teenager, kicked out of his home, wanders the streets, unsure where his next meal will come from. These stories humanize the crisis, showing that homelessness is not just a statistic. It's a life-altering struggle. Despite efforts to combat homelessness, Virginia's resources are stretched thin. Shelters are overcrowded, forcing many to sleep in unsafe conditions. Funding is insufficient, leaving critical programs unable to meet rising demand. Affordable housing remains out of reach, with rent prices skyrocketing beyond what low-income families can afford. Advocacy groups warn that without immediate intervention, the crisis will only worsen, leaving more people trapped in a cycle of poverty and despair. The situation demands urgent action, as the growing number of displaced individuals signals a systemic failure that cannot be ignored. Why more Virginians are becoming homeless? Virginia's homelessness crisis in 2025 is being fueled by severe economic pressures, forcing more individuals and families onto the streets. The root causes are deeply interconnected, creating a cycle of displacement that is becoming harder to escape. Rising rent costs have far outpaced income growth, leaving 1 in 3 households in Virginia housing cost burdened. This means that a significant portion of residents are spending more than 30% of their income on rent, making it nearly impossible to afford other basic necessities like food, healthcare, and transportation. The situation is even worse for low-income families, who are often forced to choose between paying rent or covering medical expenses. As wages stagnate and rental prices continue to climb, more Virginians are being pushed to the brink of homelessness. The disappearance of affordable housing has further exacerbated the crisis. Virginia currently faces a shortage of at least 300,000 affordable homes, leaving thousands with no viable housing options. Many previously affordable units have been converted into market-rate housing, making them inaccessible to low-income renters. Meanwhile, much of the existing affordable housing stock is falling into disrepair, forcing families to live in unsafe and unstable conditions. Without intervention, the number of displaced individuals will continue to rise. Interviews with displaced individuals reveal the harsh realities of homelessness. Many Virginians have lost their homes due to sudden job loss, overwhelming medical bills, or eviction. A single mother, once financially stable, was forced onto the streets after an unexpected medical emergency drained her savings. A veteran, struggling with PTSD, lost his housing after missing a single rent payment. A teenager, abandoned by his family, now couch surfs between friends' homes, unsure of where he will sleep next. These stories highlight the fragility of housing security. For many, homelessness is just one financial setback away. Despite efforts to combat the crisis, Virginia's resources remain stretched thin. Advocacy groups are pushing for expanded funding for homeless services, arguing that stagnant budgets have failed to meet rising needs. Programs like the 5,000 Families Pilot Initiative aim to provide monthly rent relief to low-income families. But without long-term solutions, the crisis will continue to escalate. The situation demands urgent action. Without immediate intervention, more Virginians will be forced into homelessness, trapped in a system that offers few pathways to stability. The question remains, how much worse will it get before real change happens? How Virginia is fighting back against homelessness. In 2025, Virginia is taking bold steps in 2025 to combat its growing homelessness crisis, implementing new legislative efforts, funding solutions, and community-driven programs aimed at reducing evictions and increasing affordable housing. While the problem remains severe, these initiatives signal a shift toward long-term solutions, rather than temporary relief. The Virginia Housing Trust Fund has been expanded to $150 million, allowing for the development and preservation of affordable housing for low-income households. This funding is expected to increase the availability of rental units, ensuring that more families have access to stable housing. Additionally, local governments now have the right of first refusal, meaning they can intervene when affordable housing properties are at risk of being converted into market-rate units, preserving affordability for vulnerable populations. One of the most promising initiatives is the 5,000 Families Pilot Program, which has been allocated $80 million to provide rental assistance to low-income families with children over the next 3 years. This program aims to prevent evictions before they happen, offering financial support to families on the brink of homelessness. By covering rent gaps, the initiative ensures that families can remain housed while working toward financial stability. Beyond legislative efforts, Virginia's shelters and outreach programs are playing a critical role in addressing homelessness. Organizations like the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care have reported assisting over 7,500 individuals in the past year, providing emergency shelter, food, and job placement services. The Cool Lane Commons Project, an 86-unit supportive housing complex, opened in Henrico County, offering long-term housing solutions for those transitioning out of homelessness. Despite these efforts, advocates warn that more needs to be done. The demand for affordable housing far exceeds supply, and funding for homeless services remains insufficient. While programs like the Virginia Homeless Solutions Program have received additional funding, experts argue that without sustained investment, the crisis will continue to escalate. Virginia's fight against homelessness is far from over. But these initiatives mark a significant step forward in addressing the root causes of displacement. The question remains, will these efforts be enough to turn the tide, or is more radical action needed? What more needs to be done? Despite Virginia's ongoing efforts to combat homelessness, critical policy gaps continue to hinder meaningful progress. Experts argue that while legislative measures have been introduced, they fail to address the root causes of homelessness, leaving thousands trapped in a cycle of instability. The shortage of at least 300,000 affordable homes remains one of the biggest obstacles, with rent increases continuing to outpace income growth, forcing more Virginians into housing insecurity. One of the major flaws in current policies is the lack of long-term solutions. While emergency shelters provide temporary relief, they do not offer permanent housing pathways, leaving many individuals cycling in and out of homelessness. Additionally, supportive housing programs for individuals with disabilities and mental health conditions remain underfunded, preventing many from accessing the resources they need to regain stability. Advocates are pushing for expanded funding for homeless services, arguing that stagnant budgets have failed to meet rising needs. The Virginia Housing Trust Fund, which supports affordable housing projects, requires significant expansion to accommodate the growing demand. Similarly, the 5,000 Families Pilot Program, designed to provide rent relief to low-income families, needs broader implementation to prevent evictions before they happen. Community organizations stress that flexible funding is essential to increase programmatic and operational capacity, allowing shelters and outreach programs to serve more individuals effectively. Without consistent investment, Virginia's homeless service network will continue to struggle, leaving thousands without access to critical support systems. The situation demands urgent action. Experts warn that if Virginia does not prioritize affordable housing, expand funding for homeless services, and strengthen eviction prevention measures, the crisis will spiral further out of control. The call to action is clear. Virginia must act now to prevent more families from being displaced and ensure that every resident has access to safe, stable housing. The human side of homelessness. Stories of struggle and hope. Virginia's homelessness crisis is more than just statistics. It's a human tragedy unfolding in real time. Behind every number is a story of resilience, struggle, and hope, as individuals fight to reclaim their lives despite overwhelming odds. A single mother, once financially stable, found herself evicted overnight after missing a single rent payment. With nowhere to go, she and her 2 children bounced between motels, relying on food banks and community shelters to survive. The instability took a toll. Her children struggled in school, unable to focus while living in uncertainty. Despite the hardship, she refused to give up. She found a job at a local diner, saving every dollar she could, determined to secure a permanent home. Her story is a testament to the strength of parents fighting for their children, even when the system fails them. A veteran, who once served his country with pride, now sleeps under a bridge, abandoned by the very institutions meant to protect him. After returning from deployment, he struggled with PTSD and depression, unable to hold a steady job. Without proper mental health support, he lost his home, forced to navigate the streets alone. His story is not unique. Thousands of veterans face similar challenges, left behind by a system that does not provide adequate care. Yet, even in the darkest moments, he holds on to hope, attending outreach programs that offer counseling and job placement assistance. A teenager, kicked out of his home after family conflicts, now wanders the streets, unsure where his next meal will come from. With no support system, he couch surfs between friends' homes, sometimes sleeping in abandoned buildings when he has nowhere else to go. He dreams of finishing school, but survival takes priority. His story highlights the hidden crisis of youth homelessness, where young people are forced into dangerous situations with little access to resources. These stories reveal the human cost of homelessness, the pain, resilience, and fight for dignity in a world that often looks away. Emotional interviews capture the raw reality of life on the streets, showing the strength of those who refuse to be defined by their circumstances. While the crisis continues, these individuals prove that hope is never truly lost, and with the right support, recovery is possible. Virginia's homeless population is not just a statistic, it's a community of survivors, waiting for the world to listen. A tale of 2 Virginias. Can we bridge the gap? As the documentary reaches its final moments, the screen fades into a stunning aerial shot of Virginia's wealthiest neighborhoods. Pristine streets, towering mansions, luxury cars parked in driveways. The camera glides over bustling shopping districts, where people sip expensive coffee, oblivious to the crisis unfolding just miles away. The scene is serene, polished, and full of opportunity, a stark contrast to what comes next. The visuals shift abruptly. The camera now moves through the heart of Virginia's homeless encampments. Tents crammed under overpasses, makeshift shelters built from scraps, people huddled together for warmth. The streets are lined with discarded belongings, empty food containers, and faces filled with exhaustion. The contrast is jarring, undeniable, and deeply unsettling. The voiceover cuts through the silence. Virginia stands at a crossroads. Will it continue to ignore the cries for help, or will it rise to the challenge? The screen flashes between two realities, one of privilege and security, the other of struggle and survival. The divide is not just economic, it's systemic, ingrained in policies that have failed to protect the most vulnerable. A slow montage follows. A mother tucking her children into bed in a warm home, while another mother struggles to keep her kids safe in a shelter. A businessman signing a lucrative deal, while a homeless veteran searches for his next meal. A teenager celebrating their college acceptance, while another teenager sleeps on the cold pavement, unsure of their future. The voiceover returns, urgent and unwavering. Change is possible, but only if we demand it. The final shot lingers on a homeless man sitting alone on a sidewalk, staring into the distance. His expression is tired, but not defeated. The camera slowly zooms in, capturing the raw emotion, the silent plea for help, the hope that someone will finally listen. The screen fades to black. A single message appears. The fight against homelessness starts with awareness. It ends with action. This closing scene delivers maximum emotional impact, ensuring the audience cannot look away. Let me know if you need any refinements. Your documentary deserves the strongest possible ending. Virginia is actively working to combat its homelessness crisis through legislative action, funding expansions, and community-driven initiatives. Housing advocacy groups are pushing for stronger eviction prevention measures, arguing that stagnant budgets have failed to meet rising needs. The Virginia Housing Trust Fund has been expanded to $150 million, allowing for the development and preservation of affordable housing for low-income households. Additionally, local governments now have the right of first refusal, meaning they can intervene when affordable housing properties are at risk of being converted into market-rate units, preserving affordability for vulnerable populations. One of the most promising initiatives is the 5,000 Families Pilot Program, which has been allocated $80 million to provide rental assistance to low-income families with children over the next 3 years. This program aims to prevent evictions before they happen, offering financial support to families on the brink of homelessness. By covering rent gaps, the initiative ensures that families can remain housed while working toward financial stability. Beyond legislative efforts, Virginia's shelters and outreach programs are playing a critical role in addressing homelessness. Organizations like the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care have reported assisting over 7,500 individuals in the past year, providing emergency shelter, food, and job placement services. The Cool Lane Commons Project, an 86-unit supportive housing complex, opened in Henrico County, offering long-term housing solutions for those transitioning out of homelessness. Despite these efforts, advocates warn that more needs to be done. The demand for affordable housing far exceeds supply, and funding for homeless services remains insufficient. While programs like the Virginia Homeless Solutions Program have received additional funding, experts argue that without sustained investment, the crisis will continue to escalate. Virginia's fight against homelessness is far from over, but these initiatives mark a significant step forward in addressing the root causes of displacement. The question remains, will these efforts be enough to turn the tide, or is more radical action needed? Thank you for joining us on this journey through Virginia's homelessness crisis. The struggle we've uncovered is not just a statistic, it's a human reality unfolding every day on the streets, in shelters, and behind closed doors. But this story isn't over. Change begins with awareness, and action is the next step. Will Virginia rise to the challenge, or will these voices continue to fade into the background? The answer lies in the choices we make. Until next time, this has been Globe Path Travel Documentary, bringing you the untold stories that demand to be seen. Stay aware, stay engaged, and never stop questioning the world around you.